Here we go. All right. So we're back again here. We're kind of putting feet to our prayers. And you've been looking at this the whole lesson time. So we're like, what? So this is kind of the Exodus from Egypt. Everybody kind of knows that. It's actually different from most of your Bibles. They say the Red Sea crossing was at the Sea of Reeds, which I don't believe for a bit, because the Sea of Reeds was probably only waist high. When the wall of water that Scripture says comes is on the side, that's a wall of water, is what I believe. So we believe that they certainly were in Goshen and Ramses, and obviously this is the Nile, and they were walking in Memphis, but they don't really feel the way I feel. Anyway, if that means anything to you, anyway, just saying. um, just throwing that out. But the Ramses is the king there, and so they took this route to get over to the Promised Land, and they came over here to what ended up being even today a land bridge, and we'll show you that. And then they came over here, Midian, Mount Sinai. So here's some of the thing. Midian is where Moses saw the burning bush, because that's where he was taking care of the sheep on Mount Sinai. So this is the traditional land of Midian, but yet some of you could look in the back of your Bible, some of these things will put this as Sinai, and they call that the Sinai Peninsula because of the tradition. Okay, but we believe Sinai was over here in the wilderness of sin where they denied God and all that. So Moses was going to bring them back. Remember, that's the command, bring them back to my mountain, okay, to go and do. And there's a land bridge. So this is where they crossed the Red Sea, is my point. And then they came here, and then they wandered around here, and then they first had the temple, or the tabernacle rather, at Kadesh Barnea, right? And then all this kind of thing, they came around, and then they came up, like we said, to the left hand, and there's Jericho. I don't see. There's Succoth. There's the different things, some of the names, Gath, Hebron, and all of that. So that's kind of, doesn't have all of them. We saw Zoar in our reading today. Different types of things. So they came up and they went this wet, and they went from to the, what is that, the west, and from the east. So, okay. So wilderness of Paran. So here's that. Now, here's how they allotted the 12 tribes. Everybody see that? Okay, so if you look, see where Simeon? He's right in the middle of Judah. I mean, why? But he had to learn interdependence. He had to learn he needed help, because he probably was a little too gentle. We have a small city, like think of Monaco or Andoria in France, that's in the middle of another whole area. So that's not a new thing, although this is pretty significant. Look how Dan, Ephraim. Don't even begin to ask me about Manasseh and why they got so much. I don't know, but when they were supposed to be I think because they were the second brother, so they were the firstborn, but they were treated as second. So I guess there's some sort of semblance. They got a lot of land because they kind of did, because you see Ephraim did get around the Jerusalem area. You see Benjamin and all these guys here. Okay, now you do have this in your text, so remember that. Yeah, Reuben is Reuben right there. Yeah, he stayed on this side. So
I wonder if the Manasseh, the second oldest brother, right?
yeah, let me see if we got. Let's see one more picture of this. Let's see. This maybe gives you more of the town. I don't. If we see what was Joshua's land was the saying that last. Well, there's Gilgal where they had there. There's Shechem. There's Shiloh. There we go. I wanted to find that. What is it? Timnath Serah. Oh, Ephraim. So here we are. So around this area is Joshua. He gained whatever he wanted there. So, all right. Yeah. So around Ephraim this way. Now, where is they still didn't take Jerusalem. Jerusalem's here. They haven't taken it yet, even though it's just right there. There, it belongs to the Jebusites. David will take it later. Okay. But it's still, it's funny. You'd figure that they want to convert to Judaism or something, being right in the middle of all that, but they're like, no, I ain't doing it. Funny how you can have people that'll let people go to church, but they don't want to go to church. So anyway, but anyway, so that's how the land looks. That kind of put a visual for everybody a little bit, helps out what you've been reading and struggling through, So let's go here. Now this I can blow up a little bit, because this is not neither here specifically the subject, but this is let me make it a little bigger. There you go. Okay. So, particularly, I want to go here. You see this here? This is where we believe one of the spots that they crossed over to the Red Sea. And it's right here, obviously, the crossing site, like it says. So this is why they think. See, 2 million people could probably fit on this beach, and that's about where the site was here. Okay, but you see how to get there was a narrow corridor. So that's why the army was stopped. They were stopped by the mountains, and then God stopped them and different things. So that's where they think that is the area that they crossed over. And there is yeah, you can see it over here, shut out by the wilderness. There's just this little thing. The armies are kind of broken up a little bit. So, and then they found these chariot wheels at the bottom of the sea because they actually were. So that's pretty cool. And then they actually have this a pillar marking the spot where Egypt said that they won the battle, but they did lose some people. So that's
So those chariot wheels,
Mhm.
would they have belonged to the Egyptians?
Yeah, because they went
They
under
were
the water.
chasing them?
Hmm. And it's still what happens. It's you can see kind of the different waves. There's deep here and deep here. This is kind of a land bridge. It's not. It's this is the direction of the mountain that's under there, but this is higher up than any of this or that. So they cross over here and on sort of a land bridge. So, but still, it's deep in the water, but it's not as deep as on either side here. And so the waters were a wall on each side, and then went down on the Egyptians, and that's why we have the thing there. Okay, pretty cool, huh? So, and then this has got the mark there, but this is the other side, and the dry riverbed only way into the beach area. So, okay. So now here's the other thing. This will be you'll experience because nobody else has particularly. So let's go here. Oh, yeah, that's it. Okay, good. That's what I wanted. This is, as I mentioned, is one of the most unique things on the internet because what does this look like? Like what we first saw, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do it. That looks like the crossing and them coming out of Egypt? Okay. So this is very unique because what actually happens is this Jesus in the second coming with us will take the exact same path as his people did, except he's not going to get caught in the wilderness for 4 years. Even 40 minutes. He's going to take it in like Isaiah 65. You come up here through Jordan, you come out, you'll end up at Jerusalem where the mountains are split. We'll see that actually in a second. But as you can see, Jesus is route in the second coming, and he's going to send armies up this way. There's Dan, he's part of that, and Judea fights and things like that. But he comes out, and in Petra, he takes the Jews that have fled into the wilderness, like Matthew 24 says, and actually he gets those guys and said, "Hey, I'm back," and he kind of takes them with us. And then he's got to protect the Jews, and we're going to help him in Jerusalem and things like that because we get the privilege to. So, anybody ever? That's the very unique. It's hard to find. There's only one guy did it in his own biblical survey in his thesis, and I love it to death because it makes it really good. And that's in your text too. Yeah, it is about 5 times. There we go. Everybody's got this, but it's funny how everybody reads the text, don't they? Yeah, that's no, she don't. No, but see, my point being, if you heard it before or heard it here, is that this is where there's the Suez Canal because that obviously will exist, but he'll take the exact same path. You say so. All right, now that said, he's going to settle in Israel, and this is actually the Promised Land. You see, so we consider the Promised Land this here, but this is what God said it is.
Bigger.
A lot bigger. You got what? You got in Iraq. You've got Syria. Some people think the Garden of Eden is under this here or somewhere over here. Also, so it makes sense that it's kind of attached. So this is the Promised Land. So the Jews are being cut out a little bit of. Let me see if I can blow it up there a little more. The Jews are being cut out of their their allotted land, as you can see. But God's going to make sure they get it back. So, okay. He was over here in this area up here. I think right here. So he's north of Baghdad in that like upper tip. Okay. Now, the reason because we're talking about elusive of the tribe. This is how Jesus will divide the land himself when he comes back, and this is what you're going to be a part of. So we have here the old Kadesh Barnea. We have something called the River of Egypt, which is not the Nile necessarily. It could be. We don't know. But remember all these tribes here, Dan and all this? This is how Jesus is going to allot this. So I'll take him from, might say, I don't know how can be on MapQuest because it's actually not that way now, but it's just somebody put that on. Be funny. But the Levites portion, they don't get land. They get to be by the temple. Okay? So you see how this is all divided out. So God is going to do his own division. So he had very much, I didn't compare the maps with the smaller section, but I might be faithful to say that everything is bigger, of course, but also to have to be said that it's in the same order. So knowing that God did it. Okay. This is another way to look at that. Being not as big, but just to give you the idea. And then this this kind of zooms in here on where the Levites portion is, the city, not the new city of Jerusalem, but the built city that God will go. This is actually where the city is of where Jesus stands on the mountain. Okay, but this is all millennium. This is we'll all experience it together. So this is millennial land. He's gonna stand right here, break this open, and this all goes out to here. See how it is here? It shows you that's blown up here. He's gonna stand here, crack it open, and it's gonna go to the Mediterranean. So that's in Zechariah, one of the last chapter, 14, something like that. Now, there's another close up to it. God's millennial temple on earth. You'll see this here, the Dead Sea again. He cracks it open. It's going to go. What will happen is that Jerusalem, when he does that, will be even higher than it is because the crack will push up Jerusalem to be the highest. Remember, he says, "Come on, worship me in my holy mountain." We hear those kind of things. It's going to be a bigger mountain than before. So he's going to do that. And you can see this is the water of life coming from the throne, which is obviously in the middle of the temple. Now, Baptists will love this because these areas all around are kitchens because he's going to be cooking a lot. Okay, just saying. But you can see, you get the gist of this. You have the priest chambers. They have a singer's chambers. It's a bigger temple than ever. The regular temple was probably this big, and this is how big it's going to be compared to that. Yes?
Ronnie, isn't this what we're studying about the split? And that's really...
Yeah, visualize it, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can blow it up a little more, sorry.
I can send that to
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't want to. Yeah, I'll see if I can. Oh, there it is. See, no, it won't let me blow it up anymore. I don't know why. But you can kind of see it down here. There's the land. I think there's another picture. Yeah. Here's maybe from the opposite end looking towards the sea. So you can really see the Mount of Olives right here where he stood. And then Jerusalem. This, by the geography, you can't move because the intention is to get Jerusalem up in the air a little bit. So you can't do that and leave the same crowd. God could do it, but his idea is to get a holy mountain up there. So it's going to go here right to the sea. So the Dead Sea is going to live again, is what we're saying. Any questions? Had anybody ever seen something like this before? And so this is what you're going to live. So this is the land of Zechariah 14, Ezekiel 47. So make sure you want to read those, huh? I think. Oh, and last thing is that we all believe this from the premillennial standpoint, meaning we're going to be, all this is going to happen before the premillennial. And why am I premillennial? These are great, interesting things. Because it's a normal, literal, historical, and grammatical reading of the text. Revelation 19, this is the logic, right? Christ has got to return before he rules. And if you're any of the other places where you think the millennium is, God's got to come back first before he can rule. Make sense? You can't rule before you come back, right? So that's the idea. The natural way to see 1,000 years is also, this is just arguments, Old Testament saw a future period with neither present age nor heaven. So this millennial piece is on earth and it's not heaven. It's extreme makeover earth edition. So that's where he's going to go in and rule from Jerusalem. Animal kingdom is tamed. That's long life, but still death. And there'll be still something a lot of people find surprising will be as a memorial, as a symbol, we will be observing the holidays that Jewish people have right now, because it memorializes what Christ has done and points to the gospel. And that's still going to be present there. Plus, you need a lot of kitchens because there's a lot of food at that time to eat. So,
but at that time, there's the people who still worship and all that.
Yeah, there'll be humans, and there'll be
We will worship as well.
Yeah, we'll worship, but we'll have our heavenly bodies then. So we'll be different from these. We'll be coming with him with that second coming in that Revelation wrath path. See, so these are all. This will be this is the tour of your new home, right? So you're surveying the land like the people, right? So then you'll come back, and God will give you, maybe not around here because he's got a lot of to there, but he's going to give you something. Maybe you'll get an Egypt spot by Alexandria, by the library. I don't know. So, but yeah, this is one. That's how he's going to do, because God does nothing that's not significant, right? So he's going to actually go in and take the route of his people. He's going to show that he was with his people, and so that's why this one is very significant, because people think he's just going to come out of the clouds and go right there. No, that doesn't make sense. It can happen. I'm not married to it, but God is very intentional, much the intentional discipleship and the growth we're here. So thus, there's some intentional to follow his people, to be who his people were, to show that he was with them, because Paul says that he was the rock in the desert with them, right? So anyway, questions, comments? Talk about putting feet to the prayers, right? This helps you visualize everything. Let's go back a little bit just to there. But yeah, just really this is what our chapter is all about, the dividing of the land. See the peace sign right there? That's means it. Yeah. You know, by the way, everybody knows Spock, right? Okay. This here is actually a Jewish symbol, and live long and prosper. It actually means Yahweh, or El, I'm sorry. And they would do like a twofer like that as they go in there. So they say that Leonard Nimoy, who was obviously Spock in Star Trek, was very afraid because they would make him do some of the worship things. So he took this, and so you can see how God sneaks his way into things. So all this time that you've been putting this, joking or not, this is saying, pointing to God. So just saying, and you can even see it here. It's like a word also too. So
That's hard to do.
it is. It is. You can't do it on the left side. It's harder than there. But here's the other thing. That's genetics, and then the other part. Can you roll your tongue? And a roll. It's hard. Yeah, some people can't do it. That's genetics. So I don't know why it went off, but it's probably saying, "Hey, it's time to pray." So let me.